During the winter, my relationship with the mountains at my doorstep is complicated. North Carolina is covered in deciduous forest, so the trees don't have leaves in the winter. Many of the best spots nearby are on the Blue Ridge Parkway, which is closed all season. The days are short, and the typical weather is overcast with high winds. And to add insult to injury, despite the cold, it almost never actually snows here. I'm not trying to complain, especially not about something as silly as the fact that seasons exist, but I think it's disingenuous to pretend that this stuff doesn't have an impact on my work, that it doesn't make me feel less creative and motivated. And I think there's a decent chance that you feel the same way. You might not necessarily be having a harder time capturing the landscape specifically, but a lot of people just feel worse in the winter, less motivated and less creative. So I want to share some of the techniques that I've been using to combat the familiar winter burnout. Alright, before we get into it, I want to say a quick word about the sponsor of today's video, which is my good pals over at Artlist. If you haven't heard of them before, Artlist is a gigantic library of resources for filmmakers. Music, sound effects, footage, templates, even plugins and software. And I actually used a ton of those resources in the intro sequence that you just watched. For example, I didn't have a good establishing shot of the mountains in the snow, so I searched up their stock footage library for mountains in snow and fog and filtered out by aerial shots and ended up finding this really sick drone shot. I also wanted to lean further into that snowy, wintry look, so I downloaded these snow overlays to put over a lot of my footage. Next, I searched their music library for ambient cinematic tracks with a mysterious mood and instruments like synths, and found this track that I really liked. And finally, behind that track, I added some sound effects, like wind in the trees, the waterfall, and this transitional sound. Now, you might not need all of that, so they have a variety of different subscription options. You can get just music and sound effects, just footage and templates, or everything together with Artlist Max. And they also have separate subscriptions for online creators, so you don't end up paying for more than you're actually using. I think all of those elements make the sequence a lot more immersive. If you want to do the same for your videos, go ahead and start a free trial, and once you get hooked, use the link in the description of this video to get an additional 2 months completely free. The fact that I'm able to spend pretty much all of my time out making these videos and not have the result be financial ruin is thanks largely to sponsors like Artlist. So thank you, Artlist. All right, good afternoon from the middle of nowhere. Here's the situation. On this mountain behind me is a beautiful fire lookout, fire tower up at the top. And what's special about this fire tower is that it's one of the few fire towers out here in the Blue Ridge Mountains that's not in a national park. So it's open, you can go inside, and you can camp inside. I was worried that there would be a ton of snow up here, which would look beautiful on the fire tower on the mountains, but would mean that this gravel road would be inaccessible, would be covered in snow, and my cute little RAV4 here wouldn't quite be able to make it up to the top. But snow hasn't come in quite as strong as expected, but it has come in enough to stick to the trees, make the mountains look just coated white, gorgeous winter conditions. But the road to get up here, perfectly clear. And it's completely overcast and cloudy right now, but the conditions are actually forecast to clear up in a few hours and be just clear and partly cloudy overnight, which I'm hoping will make for a really beautiful sunset and sunrise. Knock on wood. We'll see. Regardless, I'm looking forward to seeing this spot in some different conditions than I've seen it before and spending the night up here for the first time. Fire tower camping, always a good time. So let's get packed. All right, so what do we do about this? How can we combat seasonal burnout? One way to kind of fight back is to find loopholes.
It's gotta be pad thai, no question.
There are places I can go to get away from that dead winter atmosphere. Patches of evergreens high in the mountains, deep gorges with vegetation and waterfalls year-round, and the right weather can change everything. Thick fog or a beautiful sunrise completely transforms the landscape. Oh my god! I'll say there are a lot of things I enjoy about backcountry camping and backpacking. The obscenely large bag is not one of them. The hike's not that long though, so I'll stop complaining. Now that I'm about to get moving, we got some fog rolling in, which, no complaints. I know we've all heard this one before, but creativity is all about problem solving. So as corny as it is, there is a creative challenge to be embraced here. If you can get good footage now in the middle of winter, you'll be unstoppable in the summer months. But at the same time, don't expect your output to be the same. It's okay to hibernate a bit, and chances are reducing your workload or taking a break will actually make you a lot more motivated in the long term. I swear, these kinds of trails are the most annoying to do in the snow. You know, like duck under stuff, bash your head on all the bushes, especially if you got a 15-foot tall backpack on. Like, look at this thing. My God. And when you really just absolutely do not feel like going out and working on something, plan ahead. I spend a lot of the winter just driving around random back roads looking for spots to return to in the summer, or planning projects several months out.
Beautiful.
Sometimes it's just distracted daydreaming, but a lot of the time it turns into some really productive planning. I'm planning several projects for this summer right now, and I can't wait to make them happen.
Lodging for the night. This icicle. It is a little windy up here. Not as windy as it could be, and that wind is currently kind of blowing the clouds away. You see it's starting to clear up a little bit. Hopefully it continues to do that. I am here a bit early. Sunset's in like 2.5 hours, so I'm gonna spend the next little bit setting everything up. I'm gonna pitch a tent in the corner of the tower. I know that's a little silly, but just to give myself a little extra something between me and this ice on the ground, give myself an extra cocoon from the wind, and probably go ahead and cook up a nice early dinner on the jet boil, wait around for sunset. I don't have my hopes up. It's a little goofy, but I'm cozy.
And this might be the biggest one of all. Savor the highlights. A couple times a year, we get an incredible winter storm here. A blanket of snow completely covers the mountains, and I see this place in an entirely new light. When that happens, don't miss it, and don't take it for granted. The silver lining is that winter is when I appreciate this scenery the most. Reflecting on the summer in hindsight, I'm much more appreciative of just how beautiful this place really is. I look back at images I took during the summer and see beauty in them that I didn't necessarily notice when I took them. And I get really excited to see those green trees, summer sunsets, and afternoon thunderstorms again in a few months. But ironically, at the same time, I know that when summer does roll back around, I probably won't really appreciate it. I'll adapt and take it for granted again. I tell myself that this wouldn't be a problem if I lived somewhere else, like the Northwest. Somewhere with more snow, evergreen trees, better beaches. But that probably isn't true either. sitting in a tent for 12 hours, you have a lot of time to think. And the more I thought about it, the more I started to realize that these feelings about winter run parallel to my feelings about creativity. Creative jobs have natural highs and lows. Your income fluctuates, your projects change, you work with different people. There are different steps to the creative process, and some of them probably excite you more than others. All of those variables result in a natural ebb and flow of motivation and creativity. Advancing in your career won't fix that, just like moving to a new place won't make you inspired all the time. Maybe for a while, but not forever. 3 years ago, this video would have been my most exciting project of the month. I would have been stoked the entire way through this shoot and edit. And now it's kind of normal. Now, the difference is that the work I do now is much more fulfilling. Even if I'm not in the constant state of creative excitement and drive, the projects mean more to me, and I come away from each one more fulfilled. Regardless of the work you do, there will be seasons to your creativity. Not every project is going to be exciting. And that's okay, because that perspective is what makes the projects that are exciting so fulfilling. So when you're in that creative winter, take some comfort in the fact that it will be summer again. And when it snows, when everything lines up and goes right, when you find yourself working on a project that you're so excited about, with people who inspire you every day, don't take that for granted.